Hello mga katribu and welcome to another episode of PairFect. I'm Francine.
Hello, I am Dinah. In today's episode, we are joined by a great man who contributed his knowledge and skills in honing the quality of management and leadership in some of the biggest companies and corporations in the country.
That is right, Dinah. He's a former president of the University of the Philippines, a fellow trustee and former CEO of the Institute of Corporate Directors, and now the Governor of Management Association of the Philippines, or MAP. Let us welcome Mr. Alfredo Fred Pascual.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to PairFect.
Yes, thanks for making it today virtually.
Yes, we are very honored to have the former president of UP in front of us.
Pleasure and honor to be with you this afternoon.
Because we are both UP students.
Yes, proud.
Anyway, so sir, 2021 is almost over. How have you been this year, personally and work-wise?
Well, personally, the lockdowns that we've had enabled me to do things that I have not been able to do in other circumstances. Well, it enabled me to take care of my physical well-being more. So with the lockdown, I'm able to walk around our village more regularly, every other day for an hour, and pay attention to my diet and doing a diet that will help me manage my weight and bulges. Then, of course, as everybody must have experienced, the online video conferencing technology has made us connected with many more people than before.
Right.
A regular participation in our Couples for Christ meetings together with my wife. That's for my spiritual well-being. Regular meetings with old friends, including high school classmates, fraternity brothers, children who are not living with us, cousins, long-lost cousins sometimes from different parts of the world. We're able to converge in Zoom meetings.
Okay, so
And participation in many more webinars. Different topics, different subjects, originating locally and abroad.
okay. So overall, you would say that the pandemic has been good for you personally because of all these connections and just
I think it's a matter of attitude. I don't want to look at things negative way. You know? I make the most out of a situation where I find myself, including by having to allocate spaces for me and my wife so that we don't overhear each other when we're on Zoom meetings.
oh man.
So we assign different rooms for our online meeting.
Does it depend on the room, sir? Like if it's a casual meeting with family and friends, it would be in the living room, or if something as
A little more formal.
more formal than this, behind that with a beautiful bookcase in the background.
But this is my space. She has her own space.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, sir.
Did you find it hard to adjust to the online, the digital lifestyle? Because I know a lot of people who had to
Yeah.
really catch up on their technology.
Yeah, and they found themselves busier than ever.
Yeah, as I will tell you later if you ask me. I keep up with technology, so I'm able to manage
Okay.
the new technology on my own and sometimes with help from my granddaughter who took up computer science at UP.
Wow. Who's a better assistant than that?
Perfect.
Computer science talaga from UP at that, no?
Anyway.
Yes. So you found yourself, did you find yourself busier than ever? I mean, like, even if you're not going out, you're still
You said
busy.
it. Yeah, it's amazing how busy one can be in this time of
Pandemic.
lockdowns. Because you're able to do so many things because you save a lot of travels. So you can hop
Yes.
from one meeting to the next, and before you know it, you've done 4 to 6 meetings, in one day, sometimes more.
Oh,
Yeah, that's true. And then, sir, you're a very respected leader in your field. Could you give us a brief backstory on how your career started? Like, we know that you started corporate, then you went to academe, and now you're president of MAP. How's that journey? Can you give us just a brief background?
My high school dream is really to be a scientist. That's why in college, I took up BS in chemistry as a government scholar, NSDB then, now DOST scholar. I did well and graduated cum laude in late 1969. At a time when no more than 5% of the graduating class would finish with Latin honors. And when summa cum laude was a rarity, you know how it is now.
yeah.
Well,
Dami
the
nila.
percentage graduate with honors. But in any case, before I formally graduated, I was asked by our department head in chemistry to substitute for a teacher that went on maternity leave. And at that time, I have not formally graduated. I still had to get my final thesis for my second semester of thesis, which was to come yet in the semester I'm being asked to teach. So I told my department head, I cannot do it. I cannot be appointed as instructor because I have not graduated. Then told me he talked to my advisor, and he did, and I was given a grade. So if you see my transcript, my thesis grade for 2 semesters appeared in 1 semester. But in any case, I was able to teach for 1 semester. That's the time I was doing finishing touches on my thesis. And when I graduated in 1970, I did the graduation march. I marched with some of my former students. And I was planning to go for master's in chemistry and eventually PhD. So I had a conference with my thesis advisor to pick on his brain to see what advice he could give me on how I would go about my career in chemistry. But lo and behold, it was a big surprise in my life when he asked the question, do you really want to be a scientist and turn out to be like me? I said,
Oh,
well, like me? Like what? Being at the time, UP didn't have much funding for research. He was doing research, I know, because I was using one of his rooms for my thesis. And that struck me, and got me into thinking. And said, okay, I will try applying for a job as a chemist in government, because I was obliged to do it, being a science scholar. So I went to the National Institute of Science Technology and applied. And again, I was told, do you really want to work here? We can only make you an apprentice. I said, I have an obligation. I want, to serve the government. But think about it, I was told. I went home, thought about things, talked to my friends who, in the meantime, were going to take the admission test for MBA. And said, you join us. And I joined, took up the GMAT. I did okay and applied for an MBA program in UP. So that created a shift from science to management
I see. Oh.
and eventually finance. That's the story behind my having a career in management.
interesting.
Sir, you said you were teaching like 19 years old. You were allowed to teach because you were an
I
instructor.
was already 20, I think.
And
or
but
21.
very young, huh? It's a
Genius siya
great
siguro.
start of a career. Diba? Come to with his... Oo nga eh.
My first love was teaching. So when I was released from my obligation to work in government, I took up MBA, and then later one of my professors said, because I was I was in Procter and Gamble doing manufacturing job, and he said, manufacturing could be boring eventually. You need to go to a more exciting field of management, and that's finance. So I told me, but investment banking was starting in the country. Bancom was newly formed. He said, join me in Bancom. I joined him in Bancom, and that started me off in my finance career.
Oh,
So teaching chemistry to
management.
MBA to manufacturing and then finance. In the meantime, I was teaching part-time. I love teaching. I was teaching at the Ateneo for about 5 years, driving up to Loyola for very early in the morning at 7, finish my 1-hour class, and then drive up to Makati for my job in Bangkok.
Okay.
What were you teaching, sir?
I was teaching financial management.
Ah, okay, yes, because you had your
Project
MBA
finance
na, yeah.
in Ateneo.
Yes.
Okay. Pero, sir, you served as the president of UP from 2011 to 2017. So,
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit more about that? How was it being the first non-faculty member to hold that position? And what were some of the milestones that you continue to take pride in when you were
Well, as
still the
a
president?
non-faculty, I enjoyed a greater latitude of freedom of action, I would say. Because if you are appointed UP president, you're coming from the faculty, there will be old alliances, old groups that you need to deal with. I didn't have that, so I didn't have any baggage
Nice.
at all. So I can follow the strategic plan that my executive team and I formulated, and we were able to implement what we said we will deliver to UP.
Okay.
So as coming from the discipline of management, I was able to apply what I've learned in terms of starting with the strategic plan. At the time when I could not find any yet, in UP that has been done by previous administrations. So we did it for the first time with a great vision of making UP a great university in the 21st century. Because we were great. I want to make it great in 21st century. Exercising or taking leadership role in the development of a globally competitive Philippines. So my orientation has always been, national impact of the university. And by being a non-faculty and becoming UP president, it's not something out of this world, actually. In the US, there was already a growing preference for presidents with non-conventional background, meaning non-faculty background. I researched this, to be able to convince the Board of Regents who will do the selection to consider me the only non-faculty candidate out of a field of 11 candidates. I had to do research, and I found that many colleges and universities in the U.S. Are appointing presidents who are not academics. So that's how I was able to convince, because it's for them a sort of something somewhat unusual. But I had the support of the faculty region, the student region, and the staff region. I had the support of the different sectors of the university. Because when I was an alumni regent, I worked with them, and we worked on issues confronting the university. And they saw how I operated, particularly when it came to the development of the UP Town Center. You're familiar with the UP Town Center?
Yes, sir.
Because that one, I was still an alumni regent. There was an unsolicited proposal, and we were being asked to accept it in the board, and I opposed it. And for several meetings, we were being convinced, but I started also convincing the others that we should go for open competitive bidding. Eventually, I was able to get the support of the rest of the board, and we didn't accept the unsolicited proposal and did an open competitive bidding, and the results were amazing.
Yes.
And I told them this has been my job in ADB for almost 20 years, trying to promote public-private partnership in different countries in Asia. And these are the principles that we follow. But the government entity doing the PPP should do the planning for the project and should bid out the project and discourage unsolicited proposals.
Right. Oh, that's a great example of bringing your own expertise.
Yeah, and
in
that was one of the factors that attracted the attention of the other regions. Saying, oh, there is a way, because many are opposed to commercialization of UP assets or UP properties. But I showed them how it can be done for the benefit of the university.
Great, no?
Great for the benefit of it.
Plus, of course, the accountability, no? Because it's still a government institution, still subject to COA, sir.
Well, they
And
say
all,
they will do what is called the Swiss challenge. But the global experience is Swiss challenge, that doesn't work. I mean, to make it a truly competitive contest for getting the contract. Because the challenger is given only a short period of time, and the original proponent is given the right to match. So who will bother about, competing for a project that in the end they will not be able to get because the
That's
original
right.
proponent
That's right,
has the right to match.
I believe in that also. Sir, you've held the highest positions, director, CEO, and president. In most of the organizations you have been involved in, what does it take to be a leader? What is your motivation? What's your game plan when you're asked or have been nominated to lead an organization?
Well, the first thing I cite myself about is that whatever job I accept, I have to do it with full dedication. So if it's a job that I believe is bigger than my previous experience, I will try to grow by working hard and continue learning in the process. And that served me well in my work. And I adopt the thinking of what's popularly known as servant leadership. The leadership philosophy built on the belief that most effective leaders strive to serve others, just to be from that perspective, serving others, rather than accruing or amassing power and taking control. In fact, my career has been varied.
Yes.
You'll notice it's started as a private investment banker, then educator, and then international development banker, then academic leader, corporate advocate. It's not really, I don't really have one professional career, but I would say that there is an umbrella that can encompass all these various phases of my professional career, and that's the career of leadership and service that I follow in every job that I take on. So while like in UP, I was perceived as an outsider initially, so I had to work on that, engage the different constituents, talk to them, explain to them my plans, keep my communications line with them, and try to win their trust and confidence. So it's that kind of perspective that helped me, gain the support of people. In fact, when I finished my term in UP, the chancellors, the chancellor, they had a different constituent university, like to remind you, because
Yes, sir.
the director of PGH got together and they asked Escalator, Toym, T-O-Y-M, Imao,
Yes,
of,
yes.
Imao, and he created a Panday sculpture. And they were keeping it in wraps, and eventually, in January, about a month before I left office, they had an event and they gave me that sculpture, very nice. And they, Mike Tan, he came up with a column in his usual column and talk about the Panday conspiracy. And where he said, the Panday is indeed a good model for leadership. The Panday leader being someone who uses passion, patience, perseverance to bring out the best in people and move institutions forward, taking us into the connection of Padayon and Panday. These are all taken from what they have experienced with me, like this expression, Padayon UP. That I end my speeches normally with this call of Padayon UP, meaning move on. Forward, yeah. And they use this Panday metaphor. So, and he said, thus the Panday conspiracy at UP hatched for a leader who shaped minds and hearts, and who, like a goldsmith, not even a blacksmith, goldsmith, knows the importance of strength and resiliency as we handle one of the most precious resources of the nation. And who are this? Our scholar ng bayan, our students, whom I have always protected against the tyranny of some terror faculty members.
That we will not name right now.
But I have so many more stories on this. This may not be the appropriate venue for telling you.
Okay.
So I was gonna ask Sir Fred what his greatest contribution to society is, but maybe that Panday thing is the answer.
Yes,
But
yes.
we'll hear more about this question from Mr. Alfredo Pascual when we return after a short break.
Botomoto Halalan 2022, the Daily Tribune special coverage.
Chris masaya, pagsama-sama.
Bong, yung naumpisahan ko, tapusin mo. Mga bagong highway, tulay, tren, dapat ma-enjoy na kaagad ng mga tao yan. Kailangan lahat bakunado at laging may ayuda pag kailangan. Huwag dapat makabalik ang mga drug lords para ligtas ang pamilya. Yung ginawa mong malasakit centers, maganda yan. Padamihin mo pa. Magkasama tayo. Tayo ang nagsimula. Tuloy-tuloy lang, Bong.
Chris masaya, pagsama-sama.
Botomoto Halalan 2022, the Daily Tribune special coverage.
Hello, welcome back. I'm Francine and I'm with Dinah, and we're still talking and having an very inspiring chat with MAP's president, Mr. Fred Pascual.
Getting to know Mr. Fred Pascual better.
Yes. You have a question, Dinah?
Yeah, so sir, now let's talk about the Management Association of the Philippines. How did you feel about getting elected to the position? And what do you think would be your role as president in these times?
Yes, in these pandemic times.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's a challenging 2022 that seems to be there ahead. But I've been in so many battles before. I don't think I'll be intimidated. But whatever, even unexpected things that may happen. But in any case, I am prepared. We have developed a program already for 2022 that the MAP will follow. I have adopted a theme which reads push for change towards a better life for all, or a better future for all.
Okay.
And that Pascual or tagline is supported by a very specific platform of activities with 3 pillars: policy reform for economic dynamism. We will push for vital policy reforms requiring executive and or legislative actions that will help sustain economic recovery, attract more local and foreign investments, and improve the ease of doing business in the country. Particularly during the coming year, there will be a transition in national leadership. So during the first half, we'll be preparing a reform agenda in the different sectors. And when the new team are put in place in the middle of the year, we will invite and talk to them, engage them in discussions one by one. We used to do it as breakfast meetings. Maybe we'll do it also that way, but virtual initially. But if the situation will warrant it, we'll do it face-to-face. The second pillar is human development and well-being. We'll push for more academe industry programs that will produce functional graduates, encourage more innovation in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, promote better values formation, and secure public health. And the third is shared prosperity and sustainability. We will push for action at the enterprise level for the Covenant for Shared Prosperity commitments, pertaining to employees, customers, supply chains, providers, communities, environment, and shareholders through a system of ESG reporting. You know, ESG has become a byword. That's environment, social, and governance factors that should be considered in governing a business.
Sir, would you say there's a need to reimagine academe, especially because of the pandemic? I mean, this is an unprecedented event that wasn't taught in Harvard Business School. What are your thoughts about it? I mean, in terms of training leaders again, educating leaders.
Yeah. Okay, what has the pandemic done? The pandemic has disrupted the way we do work, the way we live, and a lot of adjustments has to be done. And many need to do retooling, upskilling, reskilling. Technology is changing fast. Artificial intelligence is now a reality affecting our lives and taking over some of the routine jobs done by humans. And we need to upgrade the skill of those who will be made redundant by these new technologies. So the continuing education is a must, I would say, so that people will be able to cope with the changes. Digital transformation, for example, is no longer just for those who are progressive companies, but for all. All companies now will have to consider themselves as technology company. Whatever their business or their product are. And that requires, for those who have not had the proper exposure to digital technology to go for continuing education in this area.
Okay. Well, sir, will this be part of your programs in MAP to help the government recover from the economic crisis caused by the pandemic?
Yeah, I already mentioned we will, during the first half of the coming year, I will ask the different committees. We have different committees for different sectors. And then overall also we have the National Issues Committee trying to develop reform agenda in these different sectors. And this reform agenda we will try to present to the new leaders of the country that will take their positions after the election. So we have a program for trying to help government pursue a better country for all of us. There are, we look at, of course, the priority is still the health sector. We need to have a more effective government agency to take care of health security. And that included in that is the vaccination program. It seems that the vaccination program is not a one-time thing. It seems that it will be with us for some time. There has to be a clear program for doing that efficiently. Then there is a need to get the government to create the enabling environment for upgrading of the country's healthcare system and nutrition. There is a government part to this, because there is the field health and there's the private sector part of it that will actually deliver the health services.
Okay.
And, the learning crisis is a real long-term problem. Except it's a long-term problem, but requires immediate attention. Because to further delay attending to this long-term problem, the greater is the possibility that we will further sink and again become the sick man of Asia.
Yes.
We need to enable our workforce so that they can do what is called for in the next normal, where technology is the name of the game.
Yes.
Then there is a need to liberalize certain parts of the economy so that investors will come in from abroad, as well as attract local investors to build and expand their businesses. This country will not be attractive unless the government is supportive of the requirements of businesses. So those are the things that we intend to focus on. Energy is the other big headache for us. There is an anticipated shortfall in the supply of energy, and that's a global problem.
Sir, you have a very diverse experience in the fields of business and finance, but offhand, you're already talking about what reform should be taken probably by the next administration, if ever. Can you give us a little bit more of what do you think should the next government should do? I mean, in terms of yes, do you think we should go into getting more external help, or should we fortify our own internal resources? You were talking about making the country more palatable for investments to help the economy recover.
we need capital from outside. In fact, the reality is there's a lot of capital floating around. Even locally, there's too much liquidity. There's money that's waiting to be invested. And we need to create the opportunities for businesses to flourish. And that will only happen if government will pay attention to easing the way we do business in the country. It's so difficult. This is true for the very small enterprises, micro to small to medium to large to the very large, especially for small enterprises. Before you set up a business, a lot of paper requirements. If you're a single entrepreneur, how can you attend to your business and at the same time worry about complying with so many regulations?
Yes,
Then
that's
big
true.
companies, when they're coming in, they have to talk to various levels of government, various departments of government, before they're able to be assured that they'll be able to establish their business. All these constraints to investments, to doing business, have to be addressed by the government. And
Right
that
now.
requires liberalization, well thought of, well-planned liberalization. We've tried already approaches that protect local industry.
Yes.
And it didn't work. Our infant industry then didn't flourish, didn't grow. So we need to have a more open economy that will encourage people setting up operations here for purposes of accessing the local market and making use of the local market as the base on which to launch selling to the export market. That's the kind of open economy that we should have. That's open to investment, that's open to encouraging exports. We should be part of the global supply chain, especially now in Asia. We'll probably have to deal with the other Asian countries to do collaborative effort in manufacturing products, which has been the case, in terms of the value chain in producing cars, for example. Various cars are manufactured in different countries and assembled in
Yes.
another country. Yeah.
And
We should have more of these.
And I suppose, sir, that will also include strengthening our agricultural sector.
Oh, now that you mentioned that's a very
Long discussion.
Another show
and
entirely.
almost overlooked. That
Yes.
important sector,
Yes.
which is critical to our food supply,
Yes.
to our food security. In fact, we're organizing a project for 2022 out of MAP. So that we're able to support a project that will encourage innovation in agriculture and aquaculture.
Yeah.
Oh.
We need that.
With funding from DOST. So it will be industry, academe, and government.
Yes.
High partnership.
Synergy of
Yes, that's a good.
We need more of these things. And agriculture is an important, very important area.
yes. I know. Yeah.
I guess it's also one of the bases of our capital, probably. Yeah, aside from manufacturing and industries. But long discussion.
Yeah.
That's another question.
No, I was just thinking while I was listening to Sir Alfred Pascual talk about his journey, the various fields that he's been into, and then ending up in finance, and now he's in a position to help lift the government. And we are at a time when I think the youth is encouraged to go into science now. Not like when you were starting out and they weren't encouraging, very encouraging about going into science, diba? You took up chemistry and everything. So now it's like going full circle. You're now here at the time, and you're in a position to do something about helping the country through science also, diba? Agriculture, science, technology.
Business,
It's all
finance.
coming out now.
Through MAP. Yeah, I was talking about, sir, di ba, you're talking about projects na agriculture, aquaculture, government, business, finance, recovery. It all fell in, it's
Falling into
full
place.
circle nga talaga. I must agree with you, Dinah.
My question was like, you've achieved so much, you've done so much, and are there other
I'd like
things that
to
you
tell
wish to
you-
pursue?
I'd like to tell you that my preparatory work has been done when I was president of UP. Because when I was in UP, the objectives that we tried to achieve are one, transforming UP into a research-intensive university. So, and the other one is to internationalize UP, to raise its global profile. And third one is to strengthen its public service capability. On research, we have already started getting faculty members and students to do innovative research and encouraging them to do multidisciplinary, because now work innovation is very complex, so you need people coming from different disciplines. And related to this is the revision of the general education program, which reduced the number of units for general education, given the fact that in the K-12 program, some of the usual GE courses are already taken up in senior high school. And the idea is to use the time freed up from general education to strengthen the major subjects, particularly in engineering and in the sciences.
Yeah.
So that work has already been done. And I created the laboratories for purposes of helping not just UP but the country for doing research. Like the Philippine Genome Center, which is now at the center of work on research on COVID-19 virus. Okay, so I that was one of my first projects. Build that one whole two buildings in the Philippines. And then another initial one of the first projects I did was the 1 billion peso National Institutes of Health building, which will provide a home for the various institutes doing work on health. And there's a lot of work on this, including the PCR test for COVID that was started during my time, which I supported with funding when I was president, and now being fully utilized. And also the modernization of the hospital equipment and facilities of PGH. We spent 3 billion pesos for that. And we also created the policy framework for intellectual property rights. So the preparatory work has been done, and that would serve not just UP but the whole country. And in public service, one of the institutions I created is the UP Resilience Institute.
Yes.
Which is now the focal point for knowledge and innovation in the field of climate change, in the field of disaster risk reduction and management. They're now also constructing a large facility for the UP Resilience Institute. And then I started also, not to compete with you, a TVUP, which is intended to provide programs that will help advance the knowledge and training of people. These are just some examples. And and a UP Palayon Public Service Office to coordinate the various public service work of UP faculty and students. So there are activities that I started in UP that I would now like to draw on to continue doing more of these things outside UP.
Getting the way it turned out.
Yes. Sir, I'd like to ask you then, obviously there are a lot of successful programs that were launched that you didn't anticipate would be doubly, triply useful at the present time. How do you get that sense of foresight?
Vision?
Yes, that vision. Can you share your, how do you get that?
Let's get into his brain.
Yes.
You just have to keep up. Like when I introduced EUP, it was part of my vision that I prepared in 2010. That kicked off the digital transformation of UP and prepared UP for the pandemic turnout. That included laying future-proof fiber optic cables in all the campuses, so all buildings are interconnected. That included increasing the bandwidth available to UP students and faculty by a big factor from a small amount. Now it's I think it's a factor of more than 100 times, or I can't remember the figures now. And an integrated information system that will enable administration to be done efficiently. Because I have two pillars in my strategic plan: academic excellence,
And
that's research, that's performance in other academic areas, that's public service, and then operational excellence, that's administrative efficiency and financial sustainability. The expectation from me, because my image was that I was supposed to be a finance expert, that I will solve the financial problem of UP. Because at the time I was elected, the budget of UP was on the decline.
Okay.
I did not disappoint the UP community. I was able to increase the budget of UP by a factor of 3, and the operating budget by a factor of 5. So 5 times for operating budget, 3 times, and billions of pesos for new buildings and facilities.
galing.
Sports complex in Lima. I don't know whether you've seen the start of it. In Los Baños, in Davao, many new buildings. I don't know whether you travel to the other campuses. You look at Cebu, Baguio, Mindanao, Iloilo. They have been modernized because I adopted the one UP paradigm, where all the campuses will be brought to the level of Diliman.
Very nice. Yeah. Parang he thinks of everything.
Kaya nga eh. So that's why I want to pursue that foresight thing. Sir, when you think of something, would you say that a big part of it is also because you're thinking like a scientist, that you know that these probabilities will be happening, and that's how you come up with programs? That's just my theory.
Ako naman sa finance, the numbers.
You're quite right. Science can tell us many things. It's not really crystal ball forecasting. It's really seeing how certain things progress, like how diseases, how viruses progress in their evolution.
Diba?
And science tells us how this climate change will turn out to be. Okay? Science will tell us by how much the sea level will rise for every 1 degree rise in global temperature.
Ayun.
So, with science, in fact, in forecasting the winner for our election out of survey, that's a scientific method, you know.
Oo, true.
Statistics. You don't need to interview more than 1,200 people, you know, to get a good reading. You think, how is that possible? But that's scientifically proven already.
Okay.
You can come up with a reasonable forecast given a limited number of sample size. That's all science.
And there you go. We have the Genome Center in UP. Who knew?
Ba?
Who knew it will be at the center of solving how to
Address this,
mitigate the COVID crisis.
I know.
Yeah.
So talagang I'm so happy that we're getting to know
Yes.
Mr. Pascual. But aside from all these serious things that he has to deal with that has to do with national issues,
Levels, yes.
we'd like to get to know you a little bit more on the lighter side. So we'll pause for a short commercial and then we'll play a little game called Fast Talk. PairFect will be right back. Stay with us.
Botomoto Halalan 2022, the Daily Tribune special coverage.
Chris masaya, pagsama-sama. Chris masaya, pagsama-sama.
Botomoto Halalan 2022, the Daily Tribune special coverage.
Welcome back to PairFect. Still with us is Mr. Fred Pascual of MAP. But for this segment, we have what we call Fast Talk, where we ask you different questions and then you have to answer quickly. It's very light lang.
Yes, and for the first question, sir, your childhood dream. You told us that already. What is your childhood dream, sir? In one word.
A scientist.
Okay, one person that you look up to the most.
My mother.
Your stress reliever.
Talking to somebody.
Your favorite weekend pastime.
Taking care of my physical well-being.
One person that you are most grateful to.
Not one person, but anyway, a few.
Okay, a few.
Some of my fraternity brothers who mentored me, the senior ones. I don't want to mention names.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Your ultimate goal before retiring? Do you even want to?
Yes. Unstoppable.
I'm already, but I'm still at it. No, I'd like to be able to write my memoir.
We'd love to read that.
After my my MAP stint.
One thing that you are most proud of.
The change I've been able to implement in all the organizations that I have joined.
Something to be proud of. Greatest life lesson you have learned so far?
There's no such thing as failure.
I like that.
Learning. Period.
If you are to ask for just one gift for Christmas, what would that be?
Oh. A kiss from my apo, my youngest.
Oh, how old is your apo?
More than 1 year.
Oh, baby, wow.
Kakamiss niya.
That just melted our hearts right now.
I have an older apo who is more than 20.
Okay, so that's
How are you going to spend Christmas? Are you going to see each other physically or via Zoom? How is it, sir?
The family, meaning me, my kids, and apo. I have, you know how many grandchildren I have?
How many, sir?
Oh, I forgot.
We're glad to ask.
10.
More than 10?
Yeah, coming up to be 10.
Wow, big family.
I have 3 children. One has, the oldest has 2 children. Second has 6. And youngest, now 1, but another one coming up. So, 10 soon.
Did any of your children follow in your footsteps in terms of becoming either a scientist or a finance expert? Or in the academia?
Member of academia.
That even, well, I have one granddaughter who took up computer science. That's closest to my old.
Well, that was the game. Thank you very much, sir. Can you give us some parting shots?
Before we
Well,
end
yes.
the show, yes.
How we wish we can have more time talking to you.
I would like to encourage our listeners, given the fast-changing environment we live in, to continue learning. Lifelong learning is now a must for us. And it will keep us going, keep us mentally alert, and that's the way to manage aging. So go for it, stay at it, and you'll enjoy it.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. Alam mo, Dina, meron akong na-discover for today.
Ano yun?
Nahanap ko na yung totoong panday. Si Sir.
Yes, ako
Yes,
rin.
tested by time, di ba? And the golden nuggets of wisdom we've been getting throughout the hour.
And
Yes.
through all that, very calm, very zen.
Yes,
So
oo.
parang ano rin, ano na yung sa Star Trek?
Yoda
Si
with the
Yoda
panday.
Okay. So, thank you very much, Sir Fred Pascual, for joining us today and for sharing your story with us. It's been a delight to have you in the show, and we hope to see more of you in our next episodes.
Thank you, Dina. Thank you.
sir. And so, to our katribu, watch PairFect live every Wednesday at 2 p.m. on Daily Tribune's official Facebook page and on Tribune Now on YouTube for the replay of the latest edition.
Mga katribo, 10 days na lang before Christmas.
Yep. looking
I'm
forward.
Francine,
And I am Dinah.
and this has been
PairFect.
PairFect.